Hello and welcome to another tutorial from Colour with Claire. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can colour in your double-sided colouring books using alcohol markers with absolutely zero bleed. That's right, normally it is impossible to colour double-sided books with alcohol markers without having it bleed through onto the next or even the next after that page because it's such a heavy and saturated media and it goes through everything that's not a very thick card, to be honest. But this is the way to do it. So what you will need is a pot of gesso. I think it's gesso, it could be gesso, but I'm going to go with gesso. And what it is a clear matte ground acrylic, and it basically works as a primer and a sealant on the page. It can be used on all sorts of things, canvas, wood, paper, card, anything, you know, chipboard even, anything like that, and it seals it. So it basically makes a barrier over the paper so that nothing is going to soak through it at all. And you will also need some of these foam brushes. These are the best way to apply it. You can do it with paint brushes, but you'd need quite a big thick one, and you'd have to make sure that you are covering the entire space that you want to cover, and it's just easier with these foam brushes. Now the gesso is around about £10 on Amazon, and this pack of 10 foam brushes, which are reusable and washable, are just over £5 on Amazon. So altogether around about £15, but this is going to last a really long time. It's 250ml, so you're getting quite a lot in the pot, and as I say, these can be reused, so it's going to last you. So what do you actually do? Right, you open the gesso, and it's got a very thick, it looks like white paint, sort of opaque appearance, but it's not opaque. And then you will get your foam brush of choice, and all you do is dip it into the gesso, wipe off the excess, and then literally just paint it over your page. Now you probably can't see anything on camera, and it is quite difficult, to be honest, to see in real life as well, because it is clear. It's slightly milky when you paint it on, but it does dry clear, so it doesn't affect the colour of the paper whatsoever. So you would do the entirety of the image that you wanted to colour with alcohol markers, and then you leave it to dry, and it takes about 10 minutes to dry. It's very, very fast drying, and because it isn't as watery as water, it won't buckle your page too much. So I've done about half of that with the gesso. Just want to see if I can get it in the light so you can see that it is wet. Hopefully you can see that. Now this is Secret Garden by Johanna Basford, which is obviously a double-sided colouring book, and that's why I thought it'd be best to do it on here. So I've done that, but let's go to one that I've prepared earlier. So I covered this entire page in gesso, and it looks exactly the same. It's not changed the page whatsoever, but it feels a bit different. It feels slightly rougher because obviously it's got that barrier now on there, so it's not going to be the smooth paper that you would normally have in the book. It has a slightly rough barrier. It's not rough like gritty, it's just, you can sort of, I don't know if you can hear that, that's really soft, and that's quite rough, of course. So you don't really want to use it with coloured pencils because it's obviously changed the tooth, and you probably won't be able to blend it. I haven't tried it, but this is just for alcohol markers. So this is completely dry, there's nothing on the back, and I will get some markers out and show you how it works. So here are some Spectrum Noir alcohol markers in some quite dark colours, just so that we can make sure it definitely works. And I'm just going to start colouring, and then we will see the result on the back. So let's colour this. So alcohol markers are a lot of colourists' preference, actually, because they're so seamless. You can create beautiful blends, and the colours are just so vivid. There's no streaks, and everything just looks beautiful when it's done with alcohol markers. You don't have to worry about which direction you're colouring in or how it's going to look when it's dry. And you've got an absolute shed load of different colours with alcohol markers, like into the hundreds. So it's really versatile as well. But obviously these double-sided colouring books just will not take it. Even the artist editions, if you colour with alcohol markers, you can still see a shadowing behind it. So we will see what happens with these quite dark colours. Let's just do a few little details. So when you're applying your gesso, it's best to do it in light or underneath a light so that you can see where you've been and make sure you don't miss any areas, because obviously if you do, that's where the pens are going to bleed through. What shall we do now? Let's do this. So as you can see, it's laying down really smoothly, as it usually does. The gesso doesn't really make any difference to the application of the pens. Not visibly anyway. Okay, so I've coloured quite a few different areas, and let's see what happens to the back. Now normally it would be straight through to the other side, possibly even onto the next page as well. And as you can see, absolutely nothing whatsoever. That is the same page. You can see I've coloured it all alcohol markers, and there is no bleed or even shadowing whatsoever. It's absolutely magic. I'm so pleased to have found a solution to this problem, because alcohol markers are my absolute favourite colouring media. So, you know, to be able to do things like Secret Garden, Lost Ocean with alcohol markers, it's going to be amazing. So that's in a Johanna Basford book, which is quite well made. It's got lovely thick paper. But what about in the Amazon published books that have very, very thin sort of copy paper, and probably the thinnest paper in colouring books? What happens if we do it on that? Now, obviously with it being thin paper, you would expect alcohol markers just to go straight through 2, 3, 4 pages. And what I've done here is, this book is Tattoo Darlings by Hannah Lynn, and I have painted gesso on this half of this girl. So I've done this entire half of this page, and this half is just as it was. So let's see, with this very, very thin paper, so thin you can see the designs behind, let's see what happens with the alcohol markers. So obviously quite difficult to tell exactly where I've got up to, but I can sort of feel the line. So let's give her some purple eyes, why not? And I'm going to do this side as well, just to show you how it looks without the gesso. So it seems to lighten the colours a little bit, or maybe that's actually the true colour, but with the paper being so thin it just absorbs and it looks dark because it's wet. I'm not sure, but this half is not gesso, this half is gesso, so we'll see what happens. Let's give her some blue hair. Let's do this strand. Let's just do a bit more of this hair, just so we've got more of a space to fill. And let's see, where is it up to? Let's just make this part of her hair pink, because why not? So obviously we're going over our line here that we've made with the gesso, and we're going to see the difference in a moment. This isn't how I would normally colour, but it's just for this tutorial. Okay. Being very rough, so just excuse the messiness of this. And then Let's just get some of that blue on this side so that we can see the difference. Okay, that'll do. So as I said, this side is gesso and this side isn't. And let's have a look on the back. Absolutely amazing. As you can see, even with this so very thin copy paper, there's not even a trace of a shadow of these pens. And as you can see on the other side where there was no gesso, it's gone through and it's even making marks on the other page. Just absolutely incredible solution. I really hope that this has helped people who enjoy using these markers. And I mean, it's even worth doing with paint. Some colouring pages can't be painted on because they're just so thin and it would bleed and it would buckle. So why not just use this gesso to give yourself a sealed finish to start whatever media it is that you want to use. So I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If it's helped you, please tell me about it. Please leave me a comment. And please don't forget to like, subscribe and share and all that good stuff. So thank you for watching and I'll see you soon on Colour with Claire.